generation business owner, seasoned leader in nonprofit and higher education spaces. Deeply rooted in and connected to the communities she serves, Dr. Henderson is driven to share her experiences to support community growth and empowerment. She has over 15 years of experience as a trainer, mentor, and educator, helping individuals and organizations achieve and reimagine their goals. Her expertise includes program and infrastructure design, management of statewide grant programs, and executive leadership development for emerging and established leaders and entrepreneurs. We're so very happy to have Dr. Henderson leading this training today, and I will turn it over to you now, Dr. Krystal.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Georgie. Thank you, Vince. Thank you to BSK for having me and allowing me to do this very, very important workshop. We know that goal setting is absolutely critical in serving our clients, running successful businesses, and running our BSK funded programs. I wanted to share a little bit more about capacity building. As Georgie mentioned, my name is Dr. Krystal Henderson, and I am serving as a capacity builder for BSK. Our areas of focus are equity, social justice, racial justice, and bias awareness, human resources, organizational needs assessment, organizational development, and strategic planning. And these are just a few of the projects that we've done with our clients. Our goal is to really support you all, not only to be successful on your BSK grants, but to make sure that your organization is well functioning and sustainable, period. Because our clients, our community only gets what they need if we exist. So we provide executive coaching, professional development for boards, leaders, and staff members, entire teams. A few of our past trainings have been case management, leadership development, budget management, even getting organized, how to organize your physical space, online space, computers, like everything. It makes all the difference. So I won't read this entire slide, but I just want to majorly plug that capacity building is a free resource for all of you. So take advantage of it. There are other capacity builders, other scopes. You can get support with legal help, and it's free. And as someone that has had grants in the past, when I worked in nonprofits, I can tell you this is very rare to get this support on top of the funding. So please take advantage. Okay. So, this is our agenda for today. This is what you can expect. So, we have a short little icebreaker, and then we'll talk about the importance of conducting needs assessments and how to actually do it. Whenever we create goals, we want to know like what we're actually dealing with, right? Next, we want to talk about how to actually prioritize goals to make them effective and efficient. And then we'll dig a little bit deeper into SMART goals. I love SMART goals. I feel like that's the best goal to have because it really helps you to achieve it. And then we're going to do some interactive action planning. One thing that we like to do at HPC is to really work with our clients to not only get clarity, but talk about how to actually execute. And then finally, I always like to end with some sustainability tips. You might see that START logo throughout. That's our signature program. So I'm going to, share a few bonus START tips at the end. Okay, so let's start off with something fun. This is our icebreaker. So, how do you plan a vacation or a trip? I would love for you to put that in the chat and just talk about how you actually plan for a vacation or a trip. I'm going to put that in the chat. Okay. Some of the things that I know I always look at is my calendar. When can I go? When am I available? A lot of things that we also have to consider are like pricing, the location. Where do I want to go? Yes, I see. Someone said decide where to go, explore places to see. Yes, if you like extremely engaging or like interactive vacations, or do you like to just chill on the beach? That's what me and my husband love to do. Ooh, that's a good one. How long will you stay? Yes. Identifying the destination, date, time, financing is key. Looking up the good food spots. Got to get the tacos. Yes. Budget, times on the calendar, phenomenal. Research activities, yes, at the, ooh, kid friendly. We got to make sure the kiddos have fun. Phenomenal, phenomenal. So I would love to think through how we actually prioritize this. So I'm going to open up a poll and I would love to just think through how we actually prioritize when we're planning. Okay, so what do you prioritize first? Is it the budget, time, destination, logistics? My husband always goes with the budget first. I see a lot of us go with the budget first. Yes. Do I have the money for it? And that informs all the excursions and, different food places. Wonderful, wonderful. Give it a few more seconds. Yeah, it looks like time and destination are kind of tied right now, which makes sense. Wonderful. So we'll go ahead and close this and let's show the results. Okay, so about 78% of us said that budget is the most important thing when we're thinking about that trip. And I agree. I agree. It informs how far you can go, whether or not you are driving, taking the Amtrak, taking a plane. And that's very important to consider when we're also planning for our organizational goals. I think there's just so many parallels between how we plan in our personal life and how we plan in our organizations. So when we think about planning our goals, one thing that we really, really want to think about in terms of how to get ready to set goals for our organization is financial health. So we mentioned budget, right? We have to know what our spending looks like. We need to know how much it costs, maybe per client, per program, per activity, per service. It's so important that we have a big picture of where we're going and how we've spent our money in order to inform the current outcomes that we currently have. Another thing that we really have to pay attention to, and I've seen a lot of our clients kind of skip this step, is looking at the market trends and the competition. Now, we don't use those terms directly sometimes in the nonprofit space because, market trends, that's more like corporate, but we do have to know what other services are available. How are they communicating to their clients? How are they, marketing programs to really get our young people involved? Are they incorporating perhaps AI in some of their marketing materials? We know we can't get away from AI. And looking at how outcomes vary. Like if clients are coming to you for housing, are they getting housed at a greater rate at your organization versus at another organization? And if there are any differences, how can we make sure that we're changing up our approach to make sure our clients are getting the very best? And that's related to customer client satisfaction. I've seen time and time again that sometimes people skip this step. And before you set your goals, you have to know what your clients are saying. Do they like the career mentorship workshops that you're doing? Do they like the early learning initiatives? Are their students highly engaged? We need to know if there are maybe lulls in the program, what might cause those lulls. So really making sure that we have access to both the quantitative and the qualitative data. And that means surveying our clients, asking for feedback, on the spot. Maybe if you're doing case management sessions, have you been getting everything that you needed or that you expected out of these sessions? And how can I help improve whatever that experience is? We really have to know that whenever we set these goals. Number four is operational efficiency and productivity. It's so fun to dream. And I always tell my clients, dream big, then dream bigger. But in order to set some realistic goals to get to that dream, we have to know what our operational efficiency is. We have to know if we are actually being productive. And what do I mean by that? I've seen different onboarding or kind of intake processes where a client will have to go to the website and then complete a series of forms, then wait several weeks, for someone to contact them, and then they come in just to have a meeting with the intake specialist before they get referred internally to whatever services they need. Sometimes that delay can keep our clients from getting what they need and deterring them from coming back. And guess what? Sometimes it can make them go to the market competition somewhere else. And that's not what we want because we know that our team has been trained. We know that our team is passionate about the community that we serve and that we know how to do this work. So really thinking through how can we improve all of our systems to make it as simple and easy as possible for our clients to get what they need. Another example as it relates to productivity, if we are setting out to service, maybe we want to start a new cohort of young people, and our goal is to expose them to both college and career opportunities. But there hasn't been kind of like a planned programming for how we're doing that. So some years we have like a panel. Other years we might have, alumni come back that have gone on to college and they're kind of sharing their experiences. Let's look at being productive and putting together a process or a system to make sure our students or our clients are getting the optimal experience and being able to really assess those past events, past initiatives to see what's been most helpful for our students. And I can say, I didn't really mention too much about my background, but one of my favorite roles was when I served as a program manager for a transfer support program at a multi-community college district. And the transfer rate for for the district was 37%. But for our students, it was 95%. And it was because we knew what our students needed. We knew what was the most effective, most beneficial part of the program. We took all of those lessons learned and put it into an online library and shared it out with all of the transfer, support programs throughout the community colleges. And that helped to raise our transfer rate. So really thinking about how can we set things up to be as efficient as possible for our clients, and let's be real, for ourselves as well. Doing this work, it can be a little bit draining. Our clients build relationship with us and they come to us and want support with a lot of different things that sometimes might be outside of our peer view. But when they're like, Miss Krystal, I trust you, I want to talk to you, we'll always go above and beyond. That's who we are. That's why we're doing the work that we do. But in order to make sure we're sustaining ourselves, in order to sustain our programs, we have to make sure that it's operationally efficient and that we're being productive. Another thing that that we need to think about when we are really just trying to understand the overall current state of our organization is the legal and regulatory compliance component. I know that recently, things have, been a little bit unpredictable and shifting as it relates to how we maybe advocate for our clients, along with our clients, seeing how some, legal and political things inform funding. We also know that for those that are providing mental health services, providing other services that require licensure, we have to make sure we're up to date on those. So when we're setting those goals and thinking about expanding programs, thinking about taking on new initiatives, we want to make sure we're always in compliance with local, city, county, all of those governance codes, and that we're up to date with all of our licensees. And this can really be a goal. And I'm telling you, I've seen from experience, sometimes this is often forgotten. And you always want to remember this. It can also impact insurance liability, so many things, on and on. And then finally, and arguably most importantly, is the vision and moral alignment. If our mission is to help our community gain access to, um, you know, uh, childcare, if our mission is to support young mothers with getting access to, basic needs with housing, things like that, then every single goal that we set really needs to be in alignment with that. That's absolutely critical, so important. So, this is a high level scan or needs assessment that I always encourage my clients to do before we even start talking about goals, thinking about goals. We need to know where we are, and that's the only way that we can know how to get to where we want to go. I also just want to remind folks if things come up, if you have any questions, comments throughout this entire workshop, we only have 90 minutes together. It looks like closer to 60 minutes now. Feel free to put your questions, comments in the chat. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why goals fail. I think one of the primary reasons is sometimes we set these goals without understanding the context. We just talked about that. But another reason why goals fail is because there's lack of clarity. Sometimes we, as an individual, we might feel like, okay, based on what happened last year, I know that we should not do that initiative again. Or based on what I experienced, there was a lot of last minute things. We didn't plan enough. We should not, launch this initiative around the same time. It's very important that the clarity is informed by the realistic context of your organization. We have to know the data, we have to know the financials, we have to understand client experience and employee experience. Another major barrier to success when it comes to goals is we have too many priorities. There's just too many things going on, and we're always, excited to try this new thing, or, maybe we have a lot of programs relying on case managers when case managers should be prioritizing working with their clients and trying to stay on top of those case notes. So, how can we figure out how to manage our priorities? That's one of the primary barriers to achieving our goals. The next thing is misalignment with capacity. I'm going to bring this up quite a bit because capacity is everything. We have to have the right team, we have to have the right skill set, we have to have the right services for our clients' needs. So, if there's a misalignment between a goal that you've set and the capacity that your organization has, the success rate for your goal is going to be so much lower. So we really, really have to understand who we are, where we are, who our clients are, and what they need in order to help them succeed. And then finally, this is a big one. Sometimes goals fail because there's no execution strategy. I've seen time and time again clients work with, maybe their internal teams or bring on external folks to put together an amazing strategic plan. And it has clear goals. Some of the goals are SMART goals. They have the outcome measures, timeline, all of that. However, there's no execution strategy. And that is a problem. If we don't know how to actually execute it, then we're not going to be able to achieve that goal. So I have another poll, and I'd really like to know from everyone what shows up the most, if any, in your organization. Is it lack of clarity? Maybe too many goals make it impossible to achieve all of the goals, too many priorities. Maybe there's misalignment, or maybe we don't have any execution strategy. What are you all experiencing? Lack of clarity. I see that's coming through misalignment. I see we don't have not data informed. Okay, that's good. I'm glad we're all checking our data before we set any goals. Yeah, too many priorities. That's a big one. That's a big one. I worked at this full service agency in California called the Family Source Center, and we did housing services, childcare services. I was over the tutoring program. So just we did everything. And it was so hard to prioritize because we were a master of what is it? I think a jack of all trades and a master of none. Like that's really what it was. And I'm like, there's so many different ways that we can make this efficient if we focus in and, leverage with our partners instead of trying to do everything in-house. Okay, perfect. So it looks like the primary challenge that folks face is there are too many priorities, and that makes complete sense. So let's talk a little bit about how we can actually determine how to find clarity, how to actually prioritize. So, good goals should really meet these three criteria. They should have potential for positive impact. They should be feasible, and the timing needs to be right. Now, what do I mean by all of this? For impact, because you know, we always have to think about matching people's gifts, skills, and talents with what our clients actually need. So sometimes there might be some creativity around how we can approach something. We want to try a new initiative, but it might not always directly correlate or translate into positive impact for our clients. So when we think about impact, we really have to make sure that whatever we're doing is mission aligned. If we say that we are helping our young people to stay in school, be active, be engaged, then all of our activities should incentivize that in some kind of way. Maybe we need to offer tutoring services. Maybe we need to offer like parenting classes to help our parents get comfortable with how to advocate for their students. And maybe our parents need some support with helping their students with homework, things like that. So when we think about how to actually bridge the connection between services offered and what our clients' end goal really is, finding that clarity can definitely support producing positive impact. The next thing is feasibility. Is it realistic? Like, can we actually do this? And sometimes I think we can dream big, we can set those goals, have high ambitions, but sometimes we also have to be realistic. Like, can we actually truly do this? Do we have the capacity? Does the team have the licensing that we need? If we want to start doing like retreats with young people, do we have the transportation to get them there? Do we have, insurance for that transportation? Because we really have to be careful when we're using personal vehicles, Are we really making sure that if we're focusing on literacy, do we have an understanding of all of our clients' language needs? And if we don't internally have capacity to serve all of those languages, are we leveraging the different resources through partnerships to do that? Is the goal feasible? Does it make sense for what we're doing and for what our clients need? And then timing. Timing is everything, everything. I often go back to that transfer support program that I did because we were just doing so much. And one of the initiatives that they wanted to incorporate was actually starting this. Uh, this program to like help PhD students to get familiar with teaching in a community college system. But our program, our primary goal was to help students transfer. So when we didn't have capacity, we did not do that. Timing is everything. We wanted to make sure that our goal, all of our initiatives were truly making an impact with the intended clients, with the intended students before we think about anything else. Okay. Now, I want to take just a quick, tiny break. So if people want to run to the restroom, feel free to do so. We'll be back at like 10:35. Righty. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. So I hope everyone is back. Can I get a few thumbs up? Maybe put in the chat. I'm back. I'm ready to roll. Okay. Thanks for the thumbs ups and the chats. Wonderful. We are back. Okay. So I want to encourage everyone to take some time and really, really reflect on this. Think about a goal that you currently have, an actual goal at your organization. And if you can't think of one right now, that's fine. Think about a potential organizational goal and put that in the chat. As you do that, I want you to just ask yourself and really reflect, is that aligned with our organization's current reality? Should it be prioritized right now? Do we need to refine it? Or maybe do we need to take a pause? Again, we're thinking about this and putting a response in the chat. So I want you to put either one actual organizational goal or a potential organizational goal that you know your organization should be focusing on. Just put that in the chat. And then as you do it, just think, is it truly aligned with the current reality of your organization? And should it be prioritized, refined, or put on hold? I'll put that prompt in the chat for everybody. Establish a support group for parents of deaf and hard of hearing children. That one is so important. Some goals might be related to marketing. I know sometimes we don't think about that in like service, providing organizations, but we got to get the word out. People only come if they know that we exist. Okay, another one is to get more organized and use a calendar system. Absolutely. Absolutely. Some goals might be increase client engagement or improve data collection processes. Yes, retain clients. Client retention is absolutely critical, especially when we're working with young people. So, thinking about how to adjust services based on the time of year, because the needs change versus when they're in school versus over the summer. Increase enrollment versus attendance numbers. Yes, that's a big one. Implement a centralized data system to improve accuracy, access, and reporting. I love that. Increase individual giving for fiscal year 2026. Ooh, you have an actual number but can't remember. I love, yes, the specificity is key. Getting that actual number. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. You know, and I see I already put this on the screen. Clarity is often about deciding what not to do. And often this is one of the hardest things to do in any situation, but especially when we're working with our clients, figuring out what not to do, and always being aware of partners that maybe already offer what you're thinking about doing, but your organization doesn't really specialize in that. Let's see, ensure all programs are meeting target enrollment for 2026. Wonderful. Excellent. These are wonderful, wonderful goals. Decrease gap between family show of interest, and follow through with full application completion. Yes. One thing that I did when I was a case manager was we actually had like application clinics and we worked with our partners to bring them on site So, you know how sometimes you're working with clients and, you might be focusing on workforce development, but they need help with housing, or maybe they need, transportation or something like that. So we want to refer them, but sometimes they don't always make it over to their referring agency. One thing that I did was actually had an application clinic where I invited all of my partners on site, and all of my clients were invited to just come and get all of the services that they need and sign up that day. That can really, really help with things like that. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So we have some great goals in the chat. Now I want to talk about how we can actually turn those goals into SMART goals. SMART goals really provide the clarity and make it easier for your teams to actually execute. So I love SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, they are measurable, they are achievable, they are realistic, and they're time bound. So what do I mean by specific? It has to be specific. It has to be something that is very clear in terms of how you are actually going to approach it. Maybe we want to design and execute a new outreach strategy. Maybe we want to, um, you know, develop 3 new partnerships in order to increase service offerings, something like that. We really, really, really have to specify it. And one tip that I always share with my clients is when you're setting your goals, act like you are preparing for somebody else to execute it. How clear do you have to be in order for someone else to pick up what you wrote and literally put it into action? That's the level of specificity and clarity we need. We have to also make sure it's measurable. So, what is the number? What is the percentage? What is the level of increase that we're hoping to see? If you make it measurable, that's how we'll be able to track our success. Do we want to acquire 20 new clients per month? Are we looking to increase engagement on social media by 15% per quarter? Like, adding that number allows us to know that we're on track. Is it achievable? Is this something that we can realistically do? This is something I have to always ask my clients. The a great example that I have is I have a client and she was interested in starting this new initiative for her young people. It's kind of like a retreat. And it would be like a weekend long experience. I said, okay, if we're looking to do that in Q3, there's a few things we have to take into consideration. Number one, money. If it's overnight for multiple days, can we afford hotel rooms or something for the students, transportation to get there, food for all of those events, all of these different things? Then there's liability. Then you also have to think about like release forms, programming for all of those days, staffing, because someone has to be like on the clock and ready to work 24 hours whenever you do something overnight. So is it achievable within the time frame? Is it actually realistic, and time bound? If we are putting together a goal that we want to make sure we can actually achieve and is realistic, we need to make sure that the timing makes sense. So, trying to put together an entire initiative like that when it's something that we've never done within like 3 to 4 months and we don't have the right money, it doesn't meet all of the, check marks for a SMART goal. It might be specific and measurable, but it's not really achievable, realistic, or time bound. So let's take some time to turn the goals that we put into the chat into an actual SMART goal. So you know what your goal was, and you know whether or not it's potential or it's a real goal. How can you take that same goal and actually make it specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. I'm going to take one of these goals. There's so many good ones that came in and just kind of think it through. So, increase enrollment versus attendance. I think that's a really, really good baseline, for a SMART goal. So, if we want to make it specific, we can, and measurable, we can say we want to increase enrollment um, by 15% in Q1 or Q2. We're already in Q2. Um, let's see. Whenever I do my SMART goals, I always want to write them down so I can make sure it's meeting all those criteria. So increase that enrollment and attendance. So I would say increase client enrollment by 15%. And let's say in Q3 by partnering, because the how really makes it achievable, by partnering with two new outreach partners to offer co-enrollment at 3 community events. Now, if you have an outreach coordinator, that's something that you can literally delegate to your outreach coordinator, and they'll be able to take that with them and run with it. So, as we're thinking about how to transition those goals, I want to put this example in the chat. So, we want to increase client enrollment by 15% in Q3 by partnering with two new community partners to offer co-enrollment at 3 community events. One of my primary strategies when I was working as a case manager and a job developer was co-enrollment. So if you know that there's an organization, especially that's geographically close to you, that offers similar programming to what you offer, co-enrollment is one of your primary strategies that can really help both you and your partner to serve larger groups at the same time. Okay. So now, since we've been thinking about creating a SMART goal, I want to take some time to start action planning. Because, again, as we mentioned, one of the primary barriers that people face in actually putting and achieving their goals is the execution piece, right? So we're going to put a link in the chat, and I want to encourage everyone to make a copy. Thank you, Vince. Please click on this link, and it's going to open up a worksheet that we're all going to work on together. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to click on that link myself and pull this up, and we are going to create an action plan. This is one of my favorite things to do. And I think this is one of the key steps that's missed whenever we do goal setting. We got to figure out how we're actually going to do it, right? So, this is HPC's Goal Setting and Action Planning Workshop. Again, please click on the link. If you can't open it, please let us know. We do have a backup Word document. I know sometimes Google Docs are a little finicky, so I'll go ahead and put that in the chat if you prefer to download the Word document. Okay. Can I have a thumbs up if everyone is able to access the document? Give me a little wave or a little chat. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's get back. Let's get down to business. Okay, so this is the HPC goal setting and action planning worksheet. And the purpose of this worksheet is really to empower our clients to own the goal setting process. So leverage this plan to outline and prioritize at least two goals. There is room for three. We'll probably only work on one today, but I want you to really just apply some of the best practices and lessons just shared and complete each section with clear and specific details to help your organization effectively execute your SMART goals. I'm happy to be the guinea pig, so I'll write HPC. And then today's date is 4/21, the day of this workshop. Okay. And do I have a volunteer that would like to give me a goal to start with? And then we can work on this goal together as I fill it out. Feel free to put a goal in the chat and then we can flesh it out together. And I encourage you to work alongside me as I do this, because the next thing that we're going to do is go into breakout groups and you'll be walking your partner through your worksheet. So we can really practice doing this and practice presenting it and getting feedback. Okay, let's see if we have any takers. Okay, I can also scroll up and get one of the previous goals and just adapt it or continue with the last one that I did. Okay. Sending you positive energy, Linda. Good luck with everything. Okay. All righty. So I am going to go ahead and just use the goal that we started with. Okay, so we want to increase client enrollment by 15% in Q3 by partnering with two community partners to offer co-enrollment at three community events. Okay, so the next step in doing this plan is to actually identify initiatives that will allow us to execute this goal. So, what do I mean by that initiative? Luckily, our SMART goal is written so well that it's already let us know what we need to do. So, number one, we need to establish relationships with at least one, or actually with at least three new partners. Next, we need to make sure that we have an incentive for them to either come to our event or come or for us to go to their events. So we might want to host our own community event or events. And then the final one can be attend 2 to 3 community events. Okay. So let's think through the actionable strategies and the responsible team members to actually do this. So if you have an outreach coordinator or if you have a case manager, whoever is responsible for fostering those relationships, it might be you as the ED. One of the things that you want to do is either attend a networking event. Let me type this as I write. Networking event. Perhaps reach out to some of your partners and set up coffee chats. coffee chats can be virtual, in person, just 30 minutes, 15 minutes, little chats to get to know you. And maybe the third action that you can take to really identify those partners is to invite them to your space. Let's see, invite partner to event or to location. Okay. Now, if you have team members, multiple team members, then you can think through who should do this. If you have an outreach person, this could be your outreach coordinator. If you have partners, chances are your case managers already have quite a bit of partners because they're doing a lot of, referrals for services. And then for this, whoever is sending out communication or maybe someone that's doing your social media can invite partners to attend any of your events. So let's just say social media coordinator. I often advise my clients if they have activities that can really be that are so similar that one person should be doing them, go ahead and simplify it and just have that one person do it all. So you could have just this one person responsible for executing this entire goal. And it would make sense if you are in early learning and you're trying to increase enrollment for, your young people. It could be your early learning coordinator. It can be your, outreach coordinator. It could be a case manager, et cetera, et cetera. Whenever we put together these goals, we want to make it as easy to accomplish as possible. So, you know, over delegating and having it go to a bunch of different people, let's simplify it whenever we can. Okay, now for the time period, since we wrote such a clear and specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goal, we already have a lot of the timing. We already said we want to do this by Q2. So I would say for attending the networking event, there's always so many different networking events. We can just say we want to attend two by mid-May. For reaching out to partners, that's something that could be done immediately as long as there's some copy created or content for a newsletter, however you want to reach out. So I would say, trying to complete this by the end of April. And then the third one, invite partners to your location or social event. You can do that. I would also say by the end of April. So we can see how quickly we can not only identify these goals, make sure they're realistic and reasonable, but when they're written within the context of our organization, it's actually not that hard to achieve. And then how are we going to measure success indicators? What are those success indicators? We want to increase that enrollment by 15% in Q3. So that might mean we need to have a 5% increase every month, or we want to have at least five new established partnerships, or perhaps we want to have, you know, uh, 10 new partners attend our next event, something like that. So when we're putting together our SMART goal, it's helpful to keep these things in mind because this is the execution plan. This is how we're actually going to achieve it. And I've seen time and time again, people kind of set goals and they're like, yeah, I know that there's something missing. I know that we need to enhance our offerings or we need to shift, but we don't think through the next part, the execution, the how, the who, the when, the where. And this makes the difference between setting a goal and achieving a goal. So at this point, I hope that you've taken some time to follow along and, put this together just to complete it. I have to, go ahead and put that in there. So I would say, let's see, 5 events attended, 10 new partnerships established, and maybe 5% increase of enrollment every month. Okay. So how does this feel? Does it feel like it's realistic, time bound? Does it feel like it's achievable? We'll say yes. Okay. So now I want to take some time and just allow you all to continue to think this through, brainstorm, and chat with others. So we're going to open up the breakout rooms. We have a little bit of extra time. So instead of 5 minutes, we'll put everyone in breakout rooms for like 8 minutes. When you go into the breakout room, I want to encourage you to use share screen to actually pull up this document that you've been working on and walk through the document along with your partner. We want to make sure that we're using this space to build community and that we're also using this space to actually put together some actionable strategies for how to engage with our goals. Whether you chose an actual organizational goal or a potential goal, it's important to think through just the planning and the logic behind it so that when you go back to your teams, you're able to say, I know exactly why this one is failing or how we can improve this, how we might need to pause this one, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to go into breakout groups. You'll have one person in your breakout group with you. So it'll just be you and one other person. And just use screen share, pull up your, action planning sheet and just talk it through. Do you have any questions? Wonderful. We're going to go ahead and open up those breakout groups. Hila, are you still with us? Hello, Rahima. Did you have any issues with joining your breakout group?
I got out before I could, but I'll join back again. Can you put me
Okay.
back on? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Rima, I will add you. Oh, I'll add you to room 6. Hey, Dr. Henderson, it looks like there is one participant in room 5 that is asking for help right now. I'm wondering if you or I should join that group to see if they need support.
Yes, I'll join. Room 5.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Rahima. Are you still having issues um, getting into the breakout room?
Hold on. I seem to be okay. I think I'm still by myself.
Okay, one sec.
Maybe just add me to a group. Oh, I must join.
Did you get that?
Hi, Vince.
Marianne.
Um, our sharing is not turned on for our breakout room.
Oh, okay. Let me,
At least that's what the message pops up.
yes, let me see if I can. Oh, Dr. Henderson, are you speaking? It looks like you're on mute.
Yes, thank you. So, a few people are having that challenge. Since the workaround might take us a little while, what I would suggest is to just talk it through because we all know what the form looks like. We're able to see, the categories on our own individual copies that we made. So, if we're not able to do the screen share, feel free to just talk it out. This is my goal. These are the activities, et cetera, and just get that feedback. The most beneficial thing about this exercise is just having the conversation, and then you can share the actual form with your team when you're, refining your goals.
Gotcha. Can you put me back in the breakout room? I don't know how to get back in there.
Yes. Can you remind me what breakout room you're in, Marianne?
I'm in the one with Sherry. I didn't
Okay.
write it down.
Looks like room 4. I'll add you right now.
Okay, thank you.
For some reason, it's not allowing me to include you in there. It looks like you're already on there, but I see you're still in the main room.
I think if we
Uh-oh.
move her to another room and then back to what you were in room number 4.
I think so. I didn't note down the room number, just the room with Sherry in it.
Okay. Let me move you to room 3 and then I'll put you to room 4 because it's not allowing.
Okay.
Back. Alrighty, I hope those community chats were helpful. I was able to pop into all of the rooms and I saw people sharing contact information and funding resources, other resources. And that's the purpose of those sessions to just really connect and think through some of the, goals that we're setting and the how, the execution. So thank you so much for participating. If there's someone that you met that you want to stay connected to, feel free to, just make note of their name and, find them, connect with them on LinkedIn. Okay. So, I would love to leave you with a few sustainability tips. I always share sustainability tips with my clients, especially as it relates to goals. So, number one, it's so important that we create data informed goals that are truly rooted in our reality. That's going to be what's most beneficial, making sure that our goals are rooted in reality. Number two, we want to develop natural check ins into our weekly and monthly structures. So, for example, if you have like standing meetings with your team, add a goal review as a standing agenda item. It'll just be a reminder to everyone. They'll come prepared to share updates as it relates to that specific goal and their actions related to that. Number three, we want to document everything. Documentation is key. We know how important it is for reporting. It's also important to document our approach, not only so we can preserve that historical knowledge in case of turnover and transition. We know that's, a big thing in nonprofits, but also for quality assurance and reporting. When we make adjustments and make changes, we have to know when we made that change and what kind of impact that it had. So we always want to document. And number four, this is so important for sustainability. We have to stay focused. We really have to anchor ourselves and our teams around our goals. So we don't want to stifle any creativity or anything. So, one thing that I've done in the past is just create an idea board to really nurture creativity, but also encourage the team to stay focused on the goals. So if you have a great idea, you want us to visit it and, think about it in the future, just add it to the idea board and we'll take some time to visit it in the future after we achieve our current goal. And then finally, assess, evaluate, and adjust. We need to review the progress of our goals or progress made to our goals, no less than on a monthly basis. And really prepare your team to have an honest discussion about how things are going, what's most beneficial, and really encourage them to get comfortable with some constructive criticism. Like maybe it's time to adjust, or maybe we need to do a little bit more of that, a little bit less of this. It has been an absolute pleasure being with you all today. Again, my name is Dr. Krystal Henderson. I am a capacity builder for BSK. And we will have a special follow-up session July 21st. That's exactly 3 months away from this session, where we'll revisit the goals that you set, see if, how you've achieved them. And if you got stuck, we can help you get unstuck. Again, it's been a pleasure. And with that, I will pass it to Vince.
Thank you so much, Dr. Henderson, and shout out to you for facilitating another great workshop today. We really appreciate the valuable tools and strategies you shared with us. Thank you all to our attendees and partners for joining today as well, and for your engagement throughout this session. We're grateful for your time and participation. Georgie put the workshop survey in the chat, so please, if you have some time, we encourage you to complete the survey, as your feedback helps us continue to improve these workshops. And in that survey, Dr. Henderson has generously offered to provide optional one-on-one sessions for partners who are interested in additional support. So you'll find that opportunity in the survey. And then finally, we also wanted to remind folks of the free capacity building service for our BSK funded partners. Dr. Henderson provided some examples of capacity building projects at the beginning, but there are many more different types that you can do. And if you're interested in learning more and getting connected to one of the capacity building consultants, please reach out to Georgie or me, and we can provide next steps for identifying and starting that new project. And then the last thing I also wanted to mention, we'll be sending out a follow-up email in the coming weeks to share the workshop recording and the slides and other material from Dr. Henderson's workshop today, along with the post-workshop survey. Thank you again, and we hope to see you at a future session. Take care.